Where does this leave the UK?
Oh well, the UK was actually there this year, so a big shift in emphasis compared to last year. The UK still has to define what global Britain means, and in the context of, let's call it, if not autonomous, then assertive EU, a stronger bond, transatlantic bond, and a question around how the UK fits into all of that. I think the UK has to think very carefully about what its strategic objectives are. It has to align its trade and strategy towards Europe, as well as towards what its current focus is, which is the Indo-Pacific region, particularly through the CPTPP. And at the moment, it's going around Australia, New Zealand, trying to get all of these trade deals together. Strategically, that's very important. China might join that alliance, US might join that alliance, and it's kind of almost the UK trying to isolate Europe, if you like. But in the end, the UK's strategic approach to this has to be of paramount importance, because we're seeing UK exporters being affected. Their revenues have dropped, the counts have dropped, there are fewer of them. The city, there's been nearly 7 billion flowing out of the city since January. So these are all things that the UK needs to think about, particularly as it's now fairly isolated. It's a smaller trade economy outside of these blocks, and it's beginning to look like that isolationism is so last decade.
Jack, final thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, this relates to the point I've been making throughout this chat, which is that the priorities of the EU, of NATO, and also of the United Kingdom are very, very similar. So NATO's releasing a strategy called NATO 2030, which is a sort of 10-year look into the future about what the sort of strategic priorities should be. And it's about this idea of protecting the people and promoting prosperity and things like this. But the NATO Secretary General, Jens Stoltenberg, basically said that we need a strong military, but in order to survive, essentially, we also need strong societies. And this is almost exactly what the United Kingdom's prioritizing as well. It's not just the promotion of its military objectives, it's also about the promotion of societal unity as well. And this idea that we can't achieve our security objectives if we don't have unity at a national level. So I think the point here is that the United Kingdom is still going to be pushing its. I mean, I hesitate to say something like this, but a kind of like a Britain First agenda. This idea that the United Kingdom has to look after its own interests. I mean, that's the fundamental point of Brexit. I mean, it's about reclaiming a bit of autonomy from the Union. So I think that you will end up seeing a bit more of assertiveness from the United Kingdom, particularly in its relations to the EU. But I wouldn't necessarily expect that to affect its security relationship with the European Union, because, as I've been saying, I think there's an enormous amount of overlap in the priorities and also the objectives, strategic objectives of the two blocks.